It is suitable for general family viewing.
Climate change is at the front of our minds, as it is creating many serious and damaging effects to the environment and wildlife species. Around the world, young people are learning about climate change and taking action. In fact, young people are some of the most important voices in the climate movement because you can inspire powerful people to create a better future for you. Teaching children about conservation and its important role in the future of our world is an excellent step in the right direction. Thousands of learners in Kenya rarely have access to education that empowers them to be stewards of their environment. At Lewa Wildlife Conservancy, the Lewa Conservation Education Center, which was developed with young learners in mind, strives to cultivate the next generation of conservation leaders. This is accomplished by broadening students' understanding of ecological intricacies and inspiring young people to address the most critical environmental concerns affecting their communities. This is Ephantus Mugo. He heads the Lewa Conservation Education Program, where he educates students and their teachers to conserve the environment. On today's episode of TV47 Wildlife, Ephantus will take us through the Conservation Education Center and the tools he uses to teach the students who come here.
Well, welcome to Lewa, and more specifically to the Conservation Education Center. This is one of the rooms that we use to communicate conservation education lessons to the students when they visit the Lewa Wildlife Conservancy. And it's a program that is not too old. So the students have been requesting to come to Lewa in the past. And the idea was just to come, see wildlife, get fun, be happy, and go home. And Lewa questioned itself on what message are the students really taking home when they just come to Lewa and visit and just leave. So in 2010, Lewa thought of putting up a structure whereby the students would be engaged in a way that they do not just see wildlife and disappear, but they get to really understand more about the challenges, their habitats, what they really need to do on their own. And this is how this center really came into being. And Lewa launched the Conservation Education Program, which is a program that hosts students from the country. But more specifically, we are focusing on also reaching out to the communities that we're interacting with every day. Lewa benefits the communities in various aspects. We are supporting schools, program in infrastructure, communities through water projects, healthcare. But we really felt that we need to make a connection to the students that when they receive all these benefits from Lewa, they need to have a connection that these benefits are coming from wildlife. So when we invite them to Lewa, we give them a game drive, we are making the connection for them to really appreciate that the wildlife they are enjoying to see is what really helps them get this support that goes to their community. Here in the center, basically, the program is a we learn a day program as well as a residential program for the schools. For the day program, we receive students every day, apart from the weekends, and we host the students on a total of 50, a group of 50 per day. In 1 year, we are able to host 100 groups. And what do the students really do when they come here? We get the students really participate on a game drive. We have a guided game drive. We have 2 educators. So the group of 25 group 50 is divided into 2 groups of 25 each to ensure that we have the educator handling a group of 25 and the other one handling a group of 25. A group starts in the field. One group starts in the field to get the students through wildlife, taking them through the animals, but also helping them create the linkage about the animals, the habitats, and the human activities. And an example is that when you are out there and you are seeing rhinos, we are able to help the students appreciate the beauty of rhinos, but also understand their numbers. Maybe they might think that because they're seeing hundreds here or several here on Lewa, they might think rhinos are so many. So we want them to really realize that it's through the efforts that we have on Lewa that we have these animals easily being visible here. But their numbers worldwide are really declining. So we want them to take a message that if they have joined, they appreciate wildlife, but again their numbers are declining. But we have also need to engage them realize why are they declining? Is it because what can we do? So we help them appreciate about the habitats where these animals live. The habitats need to have food and water and other resources. But in case those resources are affected, then their numbers decline. And most of those factors that lead to the decline may be more driven by human activity. And that is why this center is there to connect the appreciation and the challenges that may be facing the wildlife. And not just the rhinos, but every other animal. And when they leave the field for the game drive, bring them to the center, which I'm going to show you some of the areas that we cover when we are with the students. So enjoy just the few elements that I'm going to show you. And maybe we can start with the most close to us, which is a skull of an elephant. Sometimes almost every group is able to see the elephant. Yes. But again, not every group, or very few would be lucky to see the teeth. So the reason why we have such an exhibit is not because the group may not be able to see the elephant, but to get an opportunity to appreciate how every animal is different. When they are here, they're able to look at the teeth, they're able to look at the tail, for example. This is the tail. Students are always wondering, is this real? Sometimes they really get wondering whether it is real, yet they saw the elephants. But you realize that when they saw the elephant, they are not focusing on the tail, they are not focusing on the teeth, because they don't even see the teeth. And then you have an opportunity also for them to look at the foot, just here, and the skin, and maybe an ear of an elephant. This is the left ear. Interaction with the students, we realize a lot of things are open to touch, is because we want the students to explore, look at them. Like now, when you are touching that, I don't know whether they realize they have hair. Many people say elephants do not have hair in their skin. But I think it's something that you pick up, but you don't see on the game drive. So when we have the students getting such a close-up interaction, they are able to appreciate things like when the teacher tells them mammals have hair, they're able to really confirm even elephants, we thought they did not have the hair, they really have it. More important is that we want the students really to appreciate some ways the elephants have been built to ensure that they survive in the environment. The big feet, the thick skin, the tusks, they have a value to their environment. One of the concepts that we're always focusing on in this room is to help the students appreciate that every animal is built to live in a specific habitat. And that is why if we lose forests, we lose some animals that depend on the forest. We cannot move all the animals to the grassland if we lose the forest. So we want them to really appreciate these features enable these animals to live in a specific place. The science will tell them these are adaptations. And that is one of the things that we want also to bridge to the understanding of the curriculum. So we have an elephant here, which is some features that we have just talked about. But also we have a lion just in the room. sometimes students come and run away and they don't want to get closer here or even get closer to the lion. We are lucky to have this skin of the lion because this was one of the lions that were alive here in 2014, here on Lewa. It's among one of the main big lions. And we are using it because we want the students, if they are not lucky to see the lion, they are able to come at least understand some of the features. The color, which really blends very well with the grass. The position of the eyes, looking at the teeth, looking at the claws, they're able to at least check on the claws and touch them. I want them to really appreciate that the lion is built to eat meat. So when they see the lion hunting, it's because it is built to eat meat. That understanding really appreciates the role of the lion in the ecosystem because again, the teacher will tell them about food chain, where these lions depend on the zebras. Zebras depend on the grass, but also lions are sometimes eaten by the hyena. So that food chain understanding, very important because many people might think we don't need the lions. But maybe some communities say it's really a threat. Yes. It might be a threat, sometimes it might be a challenge. Yes. That is one of the things we are trying to work with the communities to address. But again, if you remove the lions in the environment, what happens? Want the students to realize that the lion's role is to reduce naturally the number of herbivores so that we don't have so much herbivores because if it happens, we don't have any grass in the environment. So that understanding is really key so that now we understand how herbivores affect the environment when there are so many. So we are also addressing pastoralists in this case, that when you have so many herbivores, we affect the environment. Yes. But in this case, God, our Creator, ensured that we have animals that reduce the herbivores, and that is why we have that connection.
We'll be back right after this break.
TV47, the home of untold stories.
Life ni hard, but usitense, jipatie wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki hii story.
Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka.
Umeset the mood.
Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku, na katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa hadi ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii mwisho wa kosa. Monica.
You have no insecurity.
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki hii story.
Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka.
Umeset the mood.
Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo,
TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back.
We have a skeleton here of a black rhino, and this is unfortunate. This is a skeleton of a white rhino that was killed here in 2013. It's unfortunate that some poachers were able to get into one of the corners of the conservancy. They shot this animal, and if you look closely, there is a bullet hole here, which it actually exited on this side. Okay. There's another hole here, which is also another bullet hole, and surely another one here. Actually confirmed that it was shot on from the left, and these guys were lucky to carry the task. And this happened in 2013. And as a conservation education program, we ask ourselves, what is it that we need to do also to ensure that we communicate more the message of conservation? Yeah. We felt that we needed to clean out this skeleton and bring it here so that wherever we are having the students here, when they enjoy seeing rhinos in the conservancy and other wildlife, they can come here and get really to see how the same animals are affected by poaching. 2013, this white rhino was pregnant. She's actually one of the original rhinos that we have here on Lewa. It was carrying a young unborn, which was almost 3 months to being born. And in rhino conservation, when you lose one individual, you actually affect the population of rhinos. And very easy mathematics, maybe you can do some mathematics. This rhino was pregnant, carrying a young baby in 2013. Generally, the calving interval is 3 months. 3 years, sorry. 3 years to 2.5 years to 3 years. So how many calves do you think it might be having today if it was alive? So we have lost an opportunity of 4 calves if this rhino was still alive. And many times people really wonder, how can one animal really affect the population? That is one animal. So when you lose one animal, if by any chance it was pregnant, then we lose on the population. We really affect the population. And therefore, the lions, the elephants, and the rhinos, and other animals that are poached, either for their horns, for their tusks, or for their skin, or for other trophies, poaching really affects the population and actually the generation of those species. And we want really to help you and the rest of the people to appreciate that if we stop poaching, we are helping the species. Yes. I would like us to talk about something else that we do that really affects wildlife, and that is something human really affect the environment. If you look at our title about human connection, sometimes is how do we affect the environment? Who took the papers there? Yeah. Sometimes I ask the students, who took the papers, and they say it's the weed. The other question is, where did the papers come from? From us. And if you look at the images that we have here, we have some sections of like this. This is a market, really market. This is a Nairobi river actually, and people dumping everything very close to the river. We have a dumping site very close to the forest, and many a times we carelessly throw things there without connecting that whatever we throw out there really affects our health, because we depend on clean water for survival. We depend on we raise animals that sometimes feed on these papers, and it's not very good. So we help the students understand the challenges that our actions have on the environment. But also, we have to generate waste, because every time we are alive, we are taking food, we generate waste. But what's the solution? We introduce them to sorting of the waste, where we can have metals together, we can have plastics together, we can have the biodegradable, that is the animal products, and the wooden products. Those are biodegradable. Naturally, insects, nature has given the role of some insects to ensure that they are able to to break down the organic matter and take it back to the soil. A very good example is a bone here. You can see the bone here has insects that have really fed on the bone. Naturally, insects will do this because they are meant to break down this to take it back to the environment. You will not find an insect feeding on this. So this is really something that we want them to realize, that those weeds that can lot may have very minimal harm to the environment. But these ones have a lot of harm to the environment. So the connection here is, poaching may be a problem. You might think about you are not a poacher, but again, your actions might be affecting the environment. And that is why we end up by asking, if these sites are familiar, who can we really blame for this? And who do you think is a solution? It's me and you who can be blamed for this, because if you never lived, I don't think these papers really would exist. But again, we are also the solution. And that being one problem, we still want the students to appreciate the diversity. And still in the room, we have different biofacts. The animal products from like the giraffe. This is the neck of the giraffe. We have different skulls from different animals. We have snakes here. We have a frog and chameleon. So why are we having all this collection here? We want the students to appreciate, one, the diversity. We have different animals in the environment. Sometimes we may not value them because we don't feed on frogs, we don't feed on chameleon, don't feed on the snake. We might think they are not important in the environment. But remember, we talked about food chain. They have a role in the environment. So the students are able to take some points here. One of them, snakes have a role in the environment. Here I'm going to talk to you in a moment. Then they have features that enable them to survive in specific environment. A frog, where does the frog live? In water. So we need water to ensure that the frog really survive. That means that if we lose water, we lose the frogs. If you lose the forest, we lose the black rhinos and the elephants. If you lose grasslands, we lose the white rhinos. So we need to appreciate the diversity of different habitats. And then for those habitats, for those animals to survive with those habitats, we talk about the scales in the snakes, talk about the webbed feet that you get in the animals, talk about the hairy skin in most of the animals, talk about the tortoise shell, for example, where they are able to live in specific environment where they can hide from predators. And the students have an interaction of this. Talk about why we have some animals like the vultures. Yes, it's a cleaning crew. Imagine when a lion just gets an antelope, then it just runs away. Then the hyena comes and also picks a bit of that and crushes some bones. But the rest of the tendons remaining on the bones have to be removed by this. That's why our environment are not smelly, because this animal here really does a lot of work to clean the environment. So we want to create the connection that we have organisms. We may not eat them, but what they do, we cannot do ourselves. And that is why we are really helping the students interact. What we do here is something we want the students to ask questions, to understand. Why do we have these animals this different? And back to the question on the food chain. This is a concept taught in the classroom. Teachers are always telling the students about food chain. But when you look to Lewa, when students come to Lewa, they want to see the animals. But again, many times the questions that they ask us is, why do we allow lions to feed on the herbivores, on the zebras? Sometimes when they are lucky to see the lion. So by coming to this point that the students are able to make a food chain is a flow of food from one organism to another. Why is this concept important? Many people, when they see a degraded environment, they don't connect that degradation is as a result of overgrazing. That is one thing that really contributes to that. Yes. People might have cut down the trees, but overgrazing is one of the things that lead to overgrazing. But nature was built to ensure that these organisms are there to ensure that they get their food here, but they also provide food to these organisms. But these also, as they take this food, they cannot take so much. They are also reducing this number to ensure that trees remain there. And then, because lions can kill so much, nature ensured that there are some other animals that can kill them. So we cannot remove the lions here. This connection is important because in our pastoral lands, many areas are really degraded. And the degradation might be because of overstocking. Overstocking that may be because there are too many livestock in their land. When you teach them about the need to put the right number of livestock, is we are addressing the role that these lions will be doing naturally in the environment. But in their setup, because they manage livestock, we want them to keep a number that will ensure that we have enough trees. Why do we need the trees in the environment? We talk about rainfall, we talk about clean air, we talk about soil erosion control, shades and all that, all those benefits. And that is why if you have to protect this, you have to have the right numbers, not just for wildlife, but also for the domestic animals. And we want that really appreciation about this. And that is one of the connections that we are really communicating to the students.
That's it for today's episode of TV47 Wildlife. We'll continue with the topic of conservation with a phantasmogo in the next episode. So be sure to stay tuned. Same time, same place.
We value your feedback. If you would like to send questions, comments, suggestions, or complaints for any of our programs, call us on telephone number 0740 047 047 or